Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's lecture will also be quite simple, small lecture. Actually, it's been given like that for better understanding of people. Like we'll be resuming it again with inclusive growth and issues arising from it. So do like, share, and subscribe the channel and the video, and comment your doubts if you have any during the course of the video. So let's get into the video. So in this lecture we'll be looking into the factors affecting the inclusive growth and different strategies used for the implementation of inclusive growth. Only these two topics we'll be dealing with. Let's start with the factors affecting inclusive growth. Inequity. See, there are fundamental inequalities in society that cannot be explained by individual differences like socio-economic differences, political structures. These all play a role in sustaining these inequalities, and it hinders the development. See, inclusive growth, inclusive development aims to address these inequalities and promote fairness. Like historically excluded and underserved groups, minorities, women, people with disabilities, economically disadvantaged, these all people must be included for the sustainable development for inclusive growth. Next one is social exclusion. See, it is tied to social and relational context of particular individual. Like social structures on the whole promote inequality and exclude certain individuals from participating in social life, like formerly called untouchables, Dalits, SCs, STs. They were all like that. See, marginalization and exclusion exist even in economically developed countries, which affects opportunities for certain groups. That is something which must be taken care of. Next one is poverty. See, exclusion not only impacts the societal level but also brings in the poverty, because it's not about only poverty is not only about income but brings in multiple dimensions of deprivation along with it. Like because poor have limited participation in the decision making and struggle to claim a share of the development. Like inclusion enables the poor to enhance their capabilities, become more productive, increase their income. These all will eventually push them from the virtuous cycle of poverty, and which can promote inclusive growth as well. Next one is disparity. Like disparities in region, gender, caste, class. These are all widespread and influenced by natural, socio-cultural, and policy factors like geography, climate, resources. These factors do affect the economic development. Socio-cultural factors, values, tradition, they can also encourage or discourage the social and economic mobility. Like inclusive growth on the whole should aim to address this disparity and promote equity. So that is something. These factors affect the inclusive growth. Next one is displacement. Forced displacements with socio-economic and cultural effects hinder displacement like development. Like it is a significant loss, suffering, and it brings a lot of problem to the country from where people displaced from and to the country where the people displaced to. So that's something which must again be tackled, which it affects the inclusive growth of a country as a whole country, and also disturbs the economic world peace at a whole when displacement happens, which must be tackled with. Now let's look into the different strategies used for implementation. Resource allocation. See, without proper resource allocation, the issues of poverty, equity, development cannot be addressed at all. Like it is one of the most important means to implement the inclusive growth. Okay, like allocation of resources should be like made in particular way that it should be benefited by all. It should not benefit only you or me or few people. It should be benefited to all general mass in public. Like a good example we can say is public distribution system is a classic example for reinforcing inclusive growth through resource allocation. Next one is employment generation. See, it is the most vital strategies of inclusive growth. Like as we all know, India is witnessing a demographic transition and has the advantage of demographic dividend. So, a transition in increasing employment from unorganized to organized sector is an indication of socio-economic development. Like for sustaining inclusive growth, government is required to develop policy framework which helps in boosting the employment generation. Like um, MNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National MNREGS is a successful attempt in this regard. Like poverty alleviation schemes distribute the remedy for short term, but for long term, only employment generation is the only hope for poverty alleviation. Because resource distribution through subsidization enlarges the fiscal deficit and brings burden on the exchequer. Next one is skill building and capacity development. See, deficit is one of the most important point which is not putting India in a center stage for development, particularly inclusive growth. The employment generation may not fulfill the rising employment demand due to larger share of population. Like key agencies like National Skill Development Council, National Council of Vocational Training, other government and non-government agencies, these all are involved in the development of skills and capacity development. Like government has also launched a few schemes like Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Skill India. See, when we get benefited out of these skills, these programs, these schemes, eventually our capacity develops and skills develop, which can eventually push into develop, good employment, self-employment, and bring us out of the poverty. Next one is agriculture. See, agriculture is the central pillar for inclusive growth, particularly in India, because it employs a lot of unskilled workforce. See, five factors where the government needs to work out is public investment, private investment, technology, diversification, and fertilizer. See, these factors will unblock the agricultural growth potential. Like India has majority of the workforce on agriculture, but the GDP ratio is low. So agricultural growth rate of above 4% and investment in agriculture should be around 15 to 20% of the GDP for proper growth in agriculture and to bring in inclusive growth. And of course, environmental friendly practices can also provide to be sustainable. So we are done with today's lecture too. So hope you guys understood the different approaches, factors affecting inclusive growth and stuff. Do comment your doubts if you have any. We will resume with this unit in the next lecture. Thank you.